You may be a prolific online shopper or someone who's still sitting on the fence. You may be someone who's satisfying all their shopping needs by the click of a couple of buttons either on your desktop or more likely on your mobile phone, or someone who's a bit wary of stepping outside the brick and mortar stores. Either way, it's very clear that you could not have missed the big billion-dollar wars that we are told are taking place. Top pages of newspapers, all front pages of newspapers, hoardings in your cities, and TV ads all screaming about the sales online, the big daddies of this e-commerce space in it. So who is in it to gain what? And is the customer really king at the end of the day? That's what we're trying to understand. And with me, a very special panel. I've spoken to Mukesh Bansal, Head of Commerce at Flipkart. Also joining us on the phone line, Anand Chandrasekhar, Chief Product Officer, Snapdeal. With me in studio in Bangalore, Ashok Madravelli, Deputy Director, NASSCOM. And here in Delhi, Arun Mittal, Communications Head at CashKaro.com. CashKaro is a cashback and coupons website. Also Kunal Dua, Editorial Head, Gadgets 360, the NDTV Gadgets website. Thanks all so much for taking our time to speak to us. Before I get into anything, I want to ask you, Kunal, as someone who's been watching this space, in fact, your articles have been trending on NDTV.com also. Is it really all about the consumer at the end of the day? Is the consumer really the boss? Is the consumer king when we talk about these sales?
I think, in a nutshell, yes. And it's not just these sales. I think even on online discounts recently have been really good. So compared to that, probably the sales do. If you're a regular shopper online, maybe you'll find that the discounts are not that great. But if these sales are intended to bring in new customers who usually shop offline. Right. So in that sense, the discounts on offer are really good, and you'll compare to the market prices that are offered in the real world.
Kunal's been talking repeatedly, Arun, about the fact that these sales are, of course, to get those people, like I've been saying, sitting on the fence, undecided, get them in, rope them in, and hopefully they will stay on. I've been looking at press releases that CashKaro has come up with, and you're talking about how these sales have really worked very well. You're talking about the cashbacks and how wonderfully they are doing. To tell me one thing, is it your sense then that there are all these people who the big guys are trying to target, or who e-commerce companies are trying to target, who are now being roped in? I mean, the hype's working.
Definitely the hype is working, given the festive season, this quarter, like October, November, December, right? We are expecting about $8 billion USD of sales that's going to happen, according to a report by ASSOCHAM recently. And in terms of growth, it's 30 to 40% from past year. As an aggregator of sites, and we give cashback and coupons on all the sites, we have seen a growth of 300 to 400% from last year. And on daily transactions, this festive, like for the past year, we have seen 10,000 sales a day, which is phenomenal in nature. Right. And in terms of revenues, we are projected to have about 500 crore. In GMV we're going to drive. Wow. And in terms of cashback, we are looking at 20 crores to give this quarter, I would say, October, November, December.
Kunal, quickly, there are all those sort of who would say that these numbers are, of course, mind-boggling. We're hearing this. Everyone's just talking about thousands of crores from here on. Sustainable?
I think in the long term, the sustainability of the company still looks difficult, because even though they're clocking, great numbers in terms of sales, we're talking about huge GMV, but they're still not making any profit. Right. So for all the billions, all the billion-dollar sales and all the money that is being spent on marketing, there's no profit that is being made. Right. So you have to look at when does the patience run out of investors? So I mean, with a company like Amazon, globally, investors have been really patient, right? It's been 20 years. Amazon has, I think, there have been hardly any quarters that Amazon has reported a profit, but still investors are by and large patient, because if you see, they're still growing. It's been, and if compared to a retailer like Walmart, maybe they do not have the sales, they're nowhere near the sales volumes yet, but they still, while Walmart is shrinking, Amazon's slice of the pie is still growing. So at least internationally, will that be the case in India? I mean, we have to
Will that be the case in India? Ashok Madravelli, sir, your Deputy Director, NASSCOM, you perhaps can help us answer that. Will that be the case in India? We're talking about so much volume, we're talking about revenue, the numbers thrown at us. Like I said, I mean, they're just like, the sky seems to be the limit when we talk about, the earnings, we talk about volume. But is this the moment to step back and sort of say, whoa, I mean, are we heating up too fast, or where do we go from here? Or is that just sort of the dark cloud, and we should just focus on the silver lining at present?
Right. No, I think we definitely are headed in a very positive direction. If you look at it, just the sheer amount of sales that's happening through all of these e-commerce players, whether it's Flipkart, Snapdeal, and all this tier 2 and tier 3 players, right? A couple of factors which are really important. One is the huge amount of, as Kunal pointed out, the awareness that's being built. So even people from tier 2, tier 3 cities are coming online and experimenting. If you look at the urban scenarios, there are a couple of things, right? One is ease of shopping on e-commerce sites trumps, the brick and mortar stores. So there is the convenience. I mean, in a city like Bangalore, just to go to a mall, it takes you 2 hours, and then to stand in those long queues. So the second thing is the amount of choice that you have is a lot more, and the convenience of doing the whole thing 24/7, where you can shop whenever you want, and across all these sites. And the last thing I would say is the deals. And as you can see, the deals have dropped down this year compared to last year, and I think that is going to slowly go away.
Right.
And all these e-commerce players are right now trying to wean. Even Flipkart has been sending, I believe, 5 million snail mails were sent out to people in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Just trying to get more and more people onto the e-commerce bandwagon.
In fact, just yesterday we saw that.
Yes.
We saw around 8 lakh chemists in India sort of shut shop, saying that they're protesting now against sort of their business being taken over by these online retailers. So clearly that there is a shake-up, but we're always told that this is a space where disruption really rules, and disruption is going to really take this space. Well, joining me on the phone line now, Anand Chandrasekhar, Chief Product Officer, Snapdeal. Thanks so much for taking our time to speak to us, Anand. Very quickly, the sales are on, big sales are on. Of course, there are all those like Kunal who are trying to study just what's happening there, just what's in it for the consumer. But for you at Snapdeal, if you sort of just take a couple of seconds to step back and see how it's going, how would you sum it up?
For us, this entire year has been preparing for this moment. We sort of think of it as the World Cup final moment, and we've been preparing for it all year. And our focus is to create the best consumer experience, period. And this includes, both being available across PC, tablet, mobile, and all these form factors. Making some incredible investments and progress on having the best supply chain. Delivering the best consumer experience overall, and this includes some incredible exclusives and offers and all that. What we find actually is that many millions of users try e-commerce for the first time during the festive season, right? So this is the first time they're exposed to e-commerce. So we're obviously very excited to give them a fantastic first experience so that e-commerce sort of becomes a habit for them.
Right, and that's of course the point that Kunal has also been making. This is the hook really to get all those people who are perhaps sort of not actively out there. But, amidst all of this, and I can imagine that the numbers are of course massive, but there have been questions raised on the kind of glitches that some have faced, on issues of pricing and how that is all unfolding, unraveling. How do you answer all of that, Anand?
We have invested in making our app incredibly, compelling in terms of being simple and intuitive.
Sure.
But we also have a best-in-breed experience available on desktop and mobile web, etc. Because consumers want the platform to be everywhere. And we want to be where our users are today.
Right, fair enough. Hold on there for a moment, Anand. I just want to get Kunal in quickly. Kunal, the issue of pricing. There are, of course, glitches that Anand is saying that, what all that they've done to sort it out. I think Flipkart had more of a nightmare when we talk about those glitches. But pricing issues being very real. Many are questioning, where is the discount? What is the discount? What are the numbers that we're talking about? Kunal, quickly.
I think again it's the regular shoppers, the people who regularly shop online. They're the ones saying, hey, I saw the same price a week ago, because they track these prices so closely that they can tell you that the best price was on a Tuesday that week or whatever. But the people who are coming,
there enough people doing that?
There are a lot of people doing. You'll be surprised. I mean, if you follow the right people on Twitter, they're following. They tell you exactly it was 50 rupees cheaper the other day.
I see. Anand, respond to that. The discounts sometimes look bigger than they are. They look more inflated. Am I actually getting this off, or was this the price, or roughly the price I would have paid anyway? So when we talk about pricing, how do you sort of look at this?
See, I want to zoom out of pricing and discounts a little bit, right? I think it is one of the parts of the draw. But look, I think Diwali is a time of homecoming for a lot of our consumers. And while people are, watching prices like a hawk, the entire shopping experience is very important. Look, I think if you're gifting, if you're buying, etc., that's an incredibly important part of the experience because we don't want consumers to have that anxiety.
Fair enough. I understand what you're saying, that it's everything. Pricing is one. There's also shipping up. There's a whole customer experience. But I would imagine that, everyone's concerned about, say, something or the other. Someone wants it on time, like you're saying. Someone wants easy access on your mobile, on the go. Somebody else might say pricing is a big deal. But I hear what you're saying. And I'm going to ask you one more question, a bit removed, before we let you go on, and which is, it's all about volume, it's all about revenue, it's all about all of that, but it's also increasingly a big prestige battle. There are big egos involved, evidently. There's a lot of action on that front also, all the juicy headlines that happens and all the trolling that's going on. What's going on?
Look, I think if you're working incredibly hard in an industry that is absolutely changing India, you got to have a little bit of fun. So I think, we work incredibly hard. We're like up all night, making sure our consumers are successful. You gotta have some friendly banter back and forth to keep each other honest. But I think, this is, like I said earlier, this sale is not about us, right? Like this sale is about the user.
Right, absolutely. You're not the only one having fun. We're having a lot of fun watching from the sidelines as well. But many congratulations. You're saying it's going very well for you, Anand. And good luck in the days ahead. Well, thanks for taking our time there to speak to us. Ashok, if I can just come back to you there in Bangalore. You've heard you've seen the press releases from Flipkart, from Amazon, and what they're saying about their numbers. There are, of course, some concerns as well. Does NASSCOM sort of sit back and say, okay, this is how they ought to do it, not do it? Are there concerns or red flags that are being raised at your end as well?
I think from a NASSCOM perspective, we are providing a platform where we can enable all of these entrepreneurs to succeed. So we have a lot of tier 2, tier 3 players in the e-commerce vertical, which we are helping out, whether it is helping them with funding, helping them with access to early customers, media relations, and all of that. But that is where we are stopping at, and we are just letting the market play out itself.
I spoke earlier with Mukesh Bansal, head of commerce at Flipkart. I asked him about the glitches that people have been talking about, especially on day one midnight when the sale opened, and sort of, I would imagine that Flipkart perhaps was then hoping that it wasn't sort of a flashback of last year and everything that happened, but they seem to have found their feet since then. But I asked Mukesh Bansal on the glitches and if it was the volume and the unprecedented volume or just not being prepared for the numbers that get onto sales when we talk about these kind of numbers.
It was a bit, it was relatively minor. What happened was it's when the gates open, right, suddenly you may have a small stampede. So you can think of equivalent of that. But as soon as that phase was over, people were logged into their app and shopping. So things have been pretty flawless since 12-15. So ideally, yes, we wouldn't have liked to have that glitch either. But in overall scheme of things, I think it's fairly minor.
Fairly minor, Kunal. But there are all those, we saw what was happening on Twitter.
Right.
So, but is it fair to say that they found their feet, and is it?
Yes, I think they did. I think initially there were hiccups, but I think by the morning things were fairly stable. We still saw a few complaints. I think especially people complaining about things running out of stock and prices changing when they were trying to use. But compared to last year, I think apart from that first half an hour or so, the experience has been a lot better. There have been fewer complaints for sure.
Right. So is it fair to say, before I take a break, Kunal, is it fair to say that lessons were learned from everyone from what was happening last year, and so every year hopefully we'll just get better at this, and when hopefully we'll have glitch-free big billion-dollar sales happening?
It certainly looks like that. I think Amazon seems to have had, it's probably been the lowest profile sale and they have not had any problems at all, but I don't think they had any issues last year as well. Snapdeal had some problems last year, but this year, technically at least, they have been like really smooth. And Flipkart, again, they had a few problems this year, but definitely fewer problems than last year. So it definitely seems like the lessons have
seem to have recovered. So really learning lessons and moving on. Is this, of course, the best time? We are told over and over again, this is the best time to be an entrepreneur in India. But is this the best season to be a shopper, an online shopper in India? Well, that's what we're looking at. Slipping into a quick break. Back with lots. Welcome back. We're looking at these big online sales and how it's panning out. What's in it for you and me, and is the consumer really king? Arun, you've been talking about sort of big numbers and how the growth has been substantial since last year. How do you see the road ahead? What do you believe are going to be the key challenges for you particularly?
See, discounts is definitely, for the Indian online consumer or for Indians, it plays a pivotal role, in doing some sort of shopping online or offline.
Correct.
Right?
We love our discounts. We love bhav karna.
That's bhav karna. Like even if you go, to do some sabji, buying, you need mirchi and nimbu.
Right,
that's what you love, right?
Yes.
The same thing with online shopping, right? You need discounts, you need coupons, and you need over and above if you give cash back. We should also see, players like Paytm and Snapdeal who are also playing big in this game.
Right.
Paytm is a big wallet, itself. And Paytm, people go for recharges and marketplace, and they also have good numbers in terms of tractions and daily. So in terms of numbers, it's 10,000 daily, transactions that we are seeing at this time.
Right.
Whereas it's 6,000 normally on average days.
Right. And of course, the idea being, like Anand said, to sort of keeping these people on, even if the volume is not what we're looking at, but that these people stay. Ashok, as I start winding down on the program, tell me, how do you see this space? We saw this NASSCOM report, which of course made it look really good about India being the youngest startup nation in the world. 72% of the founders are now less than 32 or 33 years of age. We've sort of number 3 in the startup scenario in the world, after the US and UK, beaten Israel and all of that. But actually, for the Indian consumer, what does it really mean?
Well, it means a whole lot more choices, and for the startups too, right? Especially in the e-commerce vertical, since we are talking about it here. If you look at it, all the tier 2 and the tier 3 e-commerce players are really benefiting from all the advertising that's happening with the big players. Secondly, the infrastructure is a whole lot better. Just if you look at 2 or 3 years back, we didn't have all these delivery platforms, we didn't have all these logistics platforms. So all of that is available as a third party, and you can partner with somebody and run your business. I think that's really enabling a lot of these tier 2 and tier 3 e-com players to compete in these niche verticals. And so that is also giving a whole lot more choice to customers. We are seeing within e-commerce for healthcare products, for wellness products, niches developing, and all of them are doing reasonably well.
Right. They're all doing reasonably well. That's, of course, what we like to hear. But tier 2, tier 3, it's increasingly becoming about those places. We're looking at sales like, say, Flipkart, which are app only. They're reporting big sales, great volume, lots of money coming in, etc., etc. Being driven by now these people that you're talking about, sitting on the fence, not sure, not this thing, being hooked, whether it's Snapdeal, Flipkart, or whoever else, or Amazon. Is the battle sort of shifting from the big cities that we know it to these smaller towns as smartphones sort of become the norm?
It is, I think, and you rightly pointed out, it's because most of the new internet users in India are coming from those cities.
Right.
So it's only logical that, that's where the companies want to go, and those are the markets you want to point out.
Right.
But specifically, I think you mentioned app-only sales, right? So I think one of the paradoxes there is right now, if you want to buy your first smartphone, you can't do it on the Flipkart sale because you need to have a smartphone to buy that. So you have to really question the. I mean, we get a lot of
strategy that Flipkart has.
Right. I mean, I think they believe that most of their users are there, but I think if you do app-only sales, most of your users will be on the app. So I think they can best answer why they're doing that, because most Snapdeal and Amazon and the rest of the industry is definitely present everywhere else.
Right. Well, I start to wind down now, but Arun, tell me one thing, for all those who are watching and sort of still unsure or skeptical about these online sales, about all this, or about even cash back and all of that, what would you say?
I think so. It's a good time to shop. I would definitely
go out there, spend your money.
And it's festive season. You go out, you spend, you splurge.
Right.
And over and over, if you're getting good discounts. And tier 2 cities has been a pivotal, geographical in terms of geography for us also. Somebody from Pimpri Chinchwad, which is in the outskirts of Pune. We get a lot of traction from there. It's maybe there is like the sample set is small, but the revenues and the transactions are huge from there. So apart from the top 8 cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad, Chandigarh are playing a lot of role in our sales.
Right. So that's of course very interesting to know. I also spoke to Mukesh Bansal earlier on the focus being for next year and the lessons being learned, glitches and all that apart, but the lessons being learned to make it even smoother, even bigger, even better, as we are told, in the years ahead.
No, I think next year is far out. I think right now focus is ensuring all these deliveries happen over next 7 to 10 days, so everybody receives their product in good condition.
Right, and of course, the prestige battle that I was talking to Anand about, so much at stake. How does Flipkart really seeing it play out? You usually sort of are more low-key when it comes to getting involved in all of this.
So as a leader in and a pioneer in the space, we feel almost both humbled and honored that everybody is deciding to participate same day. It's almost as if all e-commerce players are participating in Big Billion Day. So it's a great news for us. It's we welcome everybody and we hope people continue to participate in Big Billion Day next year onwards as well.
Right, Mukesh, gracious as always. Thanks for taking our time to speak to us there. Last words to you, Kunal. Interesting space, even more interesting times, and like you're saying right at the beginning of the program, the customer does have a lot to gain.
Yes, I think if you're looking for deals, I mean, this is the best time to shop, right? I mean, right. So at least as long as these deals are there, let's go ahead and save our money, right?
Right. Go ahead and save our money, and like Arun said, we just love our little bargains, we love our little discounts, and who doesn't mind the cashbacks and all the big discounts we're getting. Well, Ashok, Madravelli, Kunal Dua, Arun Mittal, thanks also much for taking our time to speak to us. Well, it's a wrap on that note. Have a great festive season full of online shopping or not. Either way, keep writing into us. Bye-bye.